Welcome to FUNC YOU UP, the podcast that gives you the best of functional medicine, nutrition, and wellness in 8 minutes or less.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to FUNC YOU UP. This is Michelle Miller, clinical nutritionist.
And this is Diana Orchant, functional medicine registered dietitian.
So what happens when you get back from vacation or you get back from a really indulgent, holiday break? Maybe you just had a long weekend with friends and family, and you don't feel well. You really need a reset. And so that is something we want to talk about today, is how do we reset in the most efficient and kind of healthful way, as to not do more damage for your body, but instead try to quickly whip your habits into shape and make your body feel as good as it can, as fast as it can.
Yeah, so we have an entire kind of checklist for you. We actually recommend that you write this down, maybe even keep a checklist, since there's quite a few things that you should definitely consider. And this will help just set up a plan to best support you, especially after coming off maybe a long weekend or just a longer period of time where you just didn't feel like yourself.
So Diana just planted the first magic word, which is plan. And that is really step one. You have to take a look at the next couple days or maybe the week ahead and really plan this out to set yourself up for success. I really feel such a high percentage of our success stories are based on the people who just took a little bit of time in the beginning to map it out, plan it out, prep it out, whatever that means for you. So really figuring out all of the things we're going to talk about right now on this checklist. How are you going to make it work? How are you going to make time for it? How's it going to happen? So let's talk about one of the first kind of basic ones, which is just water intake. I think when it's, alcohol, poor, food indulgences, sugary foods, fried foods, maybe just too many calories in general, when we're talking about kind of really starting to just detox the body, we want to make sure that you're hydrated enough for that process to happen. So what are some of the recommendations we'll give our clients?
So you've probably heard us say this before, but we always say drink half your body weight in ounces of water. So it's a super easy equation. If you weigh 150 pounds, aim for 75 ounces or anything kind of that nature. Or, if you're starting much smaller, then start with 2 liters and then add in a cup per week. So, additional 8 ounces per week until you kind of get to where you want to be. And water is just so essential, right? If we come off of a long weekend or, kind of a crazy week, I think a lot of times water gets very much overlooked. And so sometimes it might just help I carry around a pretty large jug of water, it's about 1.5 liters. You can carry around 1 liter just so it's easier to track your water intake, but it's going to make you feel much better and then also just help kind of get everything out of your system.
Exactly. So our major detox pathways are going to be urinating, having proper bowel movements, sweating. Those are kind of the main ones we like to utilize. And water intake is going to help support all of those pathways. So I also think it's important to recognize when you're dehydrated, it's really going to make it harder for you to succeed on kind of resetting, because it's going to make you hungrier, it's going to make you thirstier, it's going to give you these weird cravings. Really, your body just needs to be well hydrated to kind of set you off on the right path.
And our next tip on our checklist is going to be kind of focusing on whole foods. So a lot of times you'll hear me, Michelle, or I talk about having kind of a 3-day reset, right? So you come off of this weekend and you focus the next 3 days, you plan it out and you just focus on really having a lot of whole foods. So maybe that's just following kind of a Whole30 style diet, which just has some really great guides to make sure you're doing this right. But then also just thinking about it, nothing really processed. So you're kind of throwing away those protein bars, those chips, those cookies, and really just focusing on getting fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and good proteins and healthy fats to kind of support you throughout these next 3 days.
This is not the time for using your willpower to avoid meals or skipping meals. This is not the time to be counting your calories. This is the time to be feeding yourself nutritionally dense, whole, real foods that do not have barcodes on them, that were not processed in a plant, that were not made, they were picked, they were grown, it has one ingredient. These are the foods we're talking about in this phase of the game. And if you eat nutritionally dense foods, that is your way of resetting your appetite and resetting your hunger cues. And so often we find once you come off of a vacation or, some period of indulging, your cravings are all out of control, your appetite's in a completely different place. So let's not try to willpower through, fasting or cutting your calories. Just plan out, okay, I'm going to eat, maybe support your blood sugar. Something we do is we'll say, plan out a meal or a snack every 2 to 3 hours, so that you're just kind of pulsating these really good healthy foods throughout the day. And it doesn't leave you kind of craving sugar or looking for some sort of like boost in energy at any point. Again, your body will kick into gear pretty quickly. 2 or 3 days is all you need. And you'll start to realize, oh, I'm actually not hungry because I'm getting all the nutrients I need from food. My body's quite happy when it's getting what it needs.
Yeah, it's so true, because I think people often feel that after a crazy weekend of maybe binging or eating way too much, that they want to fast or give their body a break. In reality, we say give your body a break by giving it the nutrients that it needs to fuel itself and kind of get back on track, instead of trying to fast and then you kind of go into this whole cycle again of craving all these foods that you can't get access to, and you're hungry and starving and it puts you in a crazy mood.
And vegetables are going to be at the top of this list because that gives you tons of vitamins, tons of minerals, and fiber, which is really going to help to support the GI tract as well. Again, we're vegetable fanatics. Cook them, eat them raw, prepare them however you'd like, add some healthy fats, add some herbs, add some seasoning, some sea salt, whatever makes it taste delicious. But I would at least try to hit 3 servings of vegetables a day to really kind of get the body moving. And again, fiber is going to help that detox pathway. So we really want to make sure that you're getting enough of that in your diet and that you're also feeling full.
And next, we want you to focus on sleep. So oftentimes when you kind of go off the rails, usually sleep goes right along with it. Maybe you're out partying too late, or maybe it's just that, you didn't eat quite as well and it kind of kept you up a little bit later at night, or you're up super early. So what's interesting is that a lack of sleep actually increases our ghrelin production and decreases our leptin production. So these are the hormones that actually manage our hunger and fullness cues. And so it's important to understand that having more sleep is going to get these more regulated. And what's interesting is there's been so many studies that show that the more you sleep, there's been so many studies that show that when you sleep less, you consume more calories. They actually show that you consume up to 20% more calories the next day when you don't sleep as well.
Yeah. So, I know everyone requires a different amount of sleep. Whatever it is for you, I would really push to prioritize that. Again, I hate this word willpower because I don't think it exists after 3 hours of being awake. So if you have a better night's sleep, if you are recovered a little bit better the next day, I think just in general, you have the mental capacity to stay on track a little bit better, to not get kind of sidetracked quite as easily as well.
And next, we want to focus on sweating. So as Michelle said, you have your main detox pathways, and sweat is one of them. So there are so many great ways to get in a sweat. Maybe it's going on a run outside, doing a workout, sitting in a sauna, which you'd be very lucky if you have access to right now.
I think, again, this kind of goes hand in hand with just, it's going to be more effective if you're well hydrated. So make sure that, if you are sweating, and it doesn't take much, to be honest. I mean, what you just need to make sure whatever you do, you start to see the beads of sweat. I mean, that is enough to kind of get going. You don't need to be completely drenched. But I mean, I think that's kind of the fun part about the sauna effect as well, is kind of just sit there and you can get that effect going too, which is lovely. But yes, sweat is going to help create that process and make sure that's going, but just as important as making sure you're having a bowel movement every day, making sure that you're, urinating and that your urine is getting to a lighter color of yellow throughout the day, showing that you are well hydrated. All of these detox pathways are going to be really essential during this process, and they will all work in your favor if you are well hydrated, if you are eating really healthy and supporting your body with lots of fibers. When it comes to the diet, let's talk about things that maybe we want to think about limiting or removing during such a time when we are kind of trying to reset.
So you really want to focus on cutting out refined sugar, meaning kind of all those processed foods that are filled with, you're looking at the ingredient label on the back and it says grams of sugar, and then there's grams of added sugar. You want that to be 0, or hopefully there's no label at all, because again, you're eating whole foods. So cutting out that sugar, also eliminating alcohol. That's just going to increase our cravings, decrease our quality good sleep, bog down our liver, which is, going to slow down some of our detoxification processes, and they can just be overall really inflammatory. So now it's just a really good time to kind of eliminate those while you focus on whole foods.
Exactly. And some of our inflammatory foods, the gluten, the dairy, the soy, the corn on top of the sugar. I mean, a lot of my clients will even try to cut those out for a few days, just to really reset a little bit faster. Again, you're not looking to cut calories. You're just looking to make sure that the calories you're consuming are nutritionally dense. You need the most bang for your buck of what you're going to be eating. If you're eating vegetables and clean proteins and high quality fats, you eat as much as you want, eat it until you're full, but it's just a matter of what you're eating that's giving you the nutrition during that time.
And then don't get upset about it, right? I think a lot of people spend time dwelling on the past. Oh, I did this. I can't believe I had this last night or last weekend. And in reality, we should be, going full circle back to that whole planning mentality, is we should be living in the present and just thinking about what we're going to be doing throughout the week. So living in the now, understanding that, everything it's normal to have gone through kind of like a crazy event, weekend, whatever it may be. And just now is the time that you have the control to make the change.
And you can reset at any time. It doesn't need to be Monday morning. You can reset at lunchtime. You can reset at dinner. You can reset at the end of the day and say, I'm going to choose to do this in this moment instead of something else. It can be any day of the week, at any time. You are in control of when that, reset starts. And, again, the 72-hour window is really kind of magical for me. I really find that I have to plan and prepare that I have enough of the right food in place so I don't feel deprived. But man, I feel really good after that. And I feel in control of my cravings and my appetite, which is the best gift of all. I'm not being kind of led by these other feelings of hunger or cravings or looking for stimulants, looking for caffeine, looking for sugar. My body just feels that it has what it needs. And I think that is one of our main pitfalls that we warn so many of our clients against. Like, please don't jump into like a juice fast that's just filled with sugar and has no fiber. Don't just jump into, doing like a full day fast if that isn't something your body is used to doing. If it's something you're used to doing, your body responds really well to it. That's different. If this is the first time jumping into it, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend doing like like the cayenne pepper lemon juice or something for a couple of days. Like, just give your body what it needs. Good fiber, good whole foods. Your body knows what to do with it. It's designed to eat food that has good nutrients in it. So it'll kick back into gear really quickly. And, you will have more energy. You will sleep better for it. You're not going to be like left for dead because you have no energy because you're not consuming the right amount of calories or macronutrients.
And what's beautiful about this whole process is that, just kind of doing three days of this reset, focusing on whole foods, then you can kind of reflect and figure out, all right, what worked for me? Did my body feel really good after getting a lot more sleep? What kind of sweating did I do that made me feel my best? Did I thrive off of more water? How did that make my body feel? And, cutting out some of the more inflammatory foods. How did my body feel after that? As Michelle said, 3 days is magical. And so kind of sitting down, maybe it's journaling during those 3 days too, and then figuring out what really worked well for you. That's where we can also see a lot of magic happen moving forward.
Yeah, figuring out, as you transition into your standard lifestyle and your get back into your daily habits, what habits maybe you created over the past couple of days that you would like to stick. I think every time you do a reset, make your daily habits a little bit healthier, maybe try a new recipe that you'll now be able to replicate and add into your kind of daily repertoire. Make sure that this isn't just this crash diet that you do for a couple of days. This is something that is sustainable and that it can take on a life of its own that would be very healthy in your ongoing day-to-day lifestyle.
So to just recap that, for your personal checklist, you want to have on there many items, including water, focusing on whole foods, especially vegetables, Don't beat yourself up over it. Live in the now. Sweat it out. Get good quality sleep. And minimize the refined sugars, alcohol, and inflammatory foods.
Awesome. Well, we hope that this is helpful for you all. Anytime you need a quick reset, a quick health pick-me-up, I always would recommend kind of coming back to this episode and share this with any loved ones or any friends that you think would benefit to do this with you. Because again, there's no better support than having a friend or family member kind of rooting you along and going through it with you too.
So if you have any questions at all, we would absolutely love to hear from you. You can reach out to us via Instagram at Physio Logic NYC or via email at funkyouup@physiologicnyc.com. Thanks so much. See you next time.
Bye.
You've been listening to Funk You Up. Be sure to like, review, and subscribe for more daily tips on living well.